Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. Have you ever wondered why some people always seem to struggle with money, while others build wealth almost effortlessly? What if the gap between poverty and prosperity had nothing to do with luck, education, or even opportunity? And what if the real secret wasn't about what you have, but how you think? Let's break it down. The truth is, the difference between those who remain financially stuck and those who build lasting wealth isn't about external circumstances. It's not luck, it's not education, and it's definitely not some magical opportunity only the elite can access. The real difference lies in their mindset. The millionaire's mind functions on a completely different level, one that's often invisible to the average person. While most people are stuck thinking about what they can't afford, millionaires are busy imagining what they can create. That single shift from limitation to creation makes all the difference. Where most people focus on problems, millionaires zero in on solutions. When others look for someone or something to blame, they're already crafting a plan. Here's something that might shock you. I've met wealthy individuals who couldn't even spell properly, and I've known broke people with multiple advanced degrees. I've seen millionaires who never made it through high school and highly educated scholars who couldn't manage a basic household budget. These experiences taught me a powerful lesson. Intelligence alone doesn't build wealth. Wealth is created by a specific way of thinking. It's built on mental discipline. And the good news? That mindset isn't something you're born with. It's something you can learn if you're willing to pay the price. But don't get it twisted. The price isn't money. The real cost is changing how you think. And let me be upfront. This process is not easy. Your current way of thinking has gotten you exactly where you are today. So, if you want to move forward to reach a different destination, you'll need to adopt a new way of thinking. You'll have to challenge long-held beliefs that may have been with you for years, even decades. You'll need to confront assumptions that feel as automatic as breathing. And here's where we start, with personal responsibility. Now, I get it. In today's world, this idea might not be popular, but millionaires don't play the blame game. They never point fingers at the economy, their boss, their partner, their parents, or the government. Instead, they own their situation completely. Their finances are their responsibility, no one else's. When the economy dips, they don't panic. They ask, how can I profit from this? When others complain about rising taxes, they don't whine. They hire professionals, study the tax code, and find legal ways to maximize their income. While most people lie awake at night, worrying about job security, millionaires are busy creating multiple streams of income. They don't just rely on one paycheck. They build systems, investments, and opportunities that generate income from many directions. Why? Because they've trained their minds to see beyond fear. Where others see obstacles, they spot possibilities. But here's the truth. This mindset doesn't happen by accident, and it certainly doesn't develop overnight. It's like building a muscle. You don't just lift weights once and expect strength. You train daily, consistently. Millionaires treat their mindset the same way. Every morning, they wake up and ask themselves questions that most people never even consider. Instead of saying, what do I have to get through today? They ask, what can I create today? Instead of thinking, how do I survive this week? They wonder, how can I improve this week? And instead of asking, what's wrong with my life? They ask, what's possible in my life? That shift in questioning changes everything. The questions you ask yourself are powerful. They shape your focus, influence your decisions, and ultimately determine your results. Your thoughts become actions, and your actions create your life. So if you want the results that millionaires get, you must begin by asking the kinds of questions millionaires ask. That's the true starting point of training your mind like a millionaire. But we're just getting started, because personal responsibility is only the first building block. The second defining trait of the millionaire mindset is long-term thinking. While the average person is just trying to make it to the next payday, millionaires are thinking about the next decade. While most people get stuck in short-term worries, the wealthy are planting seeds they know won't bear fruit for years. They understand that wealth isn't the result of luck. It's built through steady, consistent effort over time. I remember when I first learned this lesson myself. I was 25 years old, broke, and discouraged. I thought success should have come faster. That's when my mentor, Earl Skay, told me something that would stick with me forever. He said, "Jim, you can become wealthy in 5 years if you're willing to do what others won't do for 5 years." Now, to a young man craving fast results, 5 years felt like a lifetime. But Earl helped me see things differently. Those 5 years were going to pass no matter what I did. The real question was, what did I want to be when they were over? That's how millionaires think. They plant seeds with full awareness that the harvest will take time. They're not chasing instant rewards. They're building lasting success with purpose and patience. Millionaires think ahead. They invest money they could easily spend today on vacations, gadgets, or comfort because they know that same money, if planted wisely, will multiply tomorrow. It's a calculated decision. They read books not to kill time, but to gain insights that might pay off years from now. They build relationships not for quick favors, but for lifelong value. And they hone their skills, not for next week's paycheck, but for opportunities that might not come until the next decade. This kind of long-term thinking isn't limited to money. It touches every part of their lives. While the average person buys liabilities and calls them assets, millionaires focus on acquiring true assets, things that gain value over time. While most people go into debt to finance a lifestyle, millionaires use resources to finance their future. And where others spend first and save whatever's left, if anything, millionaires reverse the formula. They save first, then spend what remains. But here's something most people miss about long-term thinking. It's not about denying yourself joy forever. It's not about living in scarcity. It's about making intentional choices. Knowing the difference between bad debt and good debt, between spending and investing, between what drains you and what builds you. Millionaires absolutely enjoy their wealth, but they do it with strategy and purpose. They've realized something profound. Today's discipline becomes tomorrow's freedom. This leads us directly to the third key trait of the millionaire mind, the power of compound growth. Now, most people think of compound growth only in terms of money, investment returns, interest rates, bank accounts. And yes, that's part of it. But for millionaires, the concept goes much deeper. They understand that everything in life compounds. Not just money, but knowledge, relationships, skills, even your reputation. Every smart choice adds up. Every action builds upon the last. There's a famous quote often attributed to Albert Einstein. He supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not, the principle remains profound. When you save and invest consistently, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and relationally, you begin to experience exponential growth. Your money grows, and then the growth grows. And that's the magic most people never get to experience because they quit too soon. They stop just before momentum kicks in. They abandon the process before compounding can work its wonders. But here's something that often gets overlooked. Money isn't the only thing that compounds over time. The same principle applies to every aspect of personal growth. When you read books on personal development consistently, your knowledge begins to stack layer by layer. When you invest effort into building relationships intentionally, your network expands in ways you never expected. When you develop skills with purpose, your capabilities multiply. Millionaires know this. They don't just rely on compound interest in their bank accounts. They work each day to generate positive compound effects across every area of their lives. But there's a hidden danger here, because compounding isn't always positive. Most people are experiencing the compound effect too, just not the kind that leads to growth. Instead, they're compounding their debts. They're adding layers of bad habits. Toxic relationships build up. Poor health choices accumulate. Day after day, the consequences grow until they feel stuck in a cycle they can't escape. And that's the tragedy. The same principle that can create wealth and success can also reinforce poverty and struggle, depending entirely on how it's applied. Millionaires also grasp another essential principle: the power of continuous learning. Now, that doesn't mean they're going back to traditional school, although some do. What it really means is this: they never stop learning. They read books others ignore. They attend seminars most people write off as a waste of time. They listen to audio programs during commutes when others are scrolling social media. They make a conscious choice to invest in their minds while others are investing in entertainment or distraction. You see, formal education might help you make a living, but self-education? That's what builds a fortune. Traditional schooling teaches you how to work for money, but it rarely teaches you how to make money work for you. That kind of financial intelligence isn't handed out in a classroom. You have to go looking for it. And millionaires? They're lifelong seekers. They study wealth creation. They study business, investing, and personal development like it's their job, because to them, it is. I've personally met millionaires who read a book a week, every week, for years. I've known high net worth individuals who spend more on personal development annually than most people spend on their vehicles. Why? Because they recognize something simple but powerful. Their mind is their most valuable asset. And like any asset, it requires investment to grow. But here's the real secret. They don't just gather knowledge for the sake of it. They act on it. They take what they learn and immediately apply it to their business, their goals, their daily decisions. Because knowledge without application, it's just noise. It changes nothing. Millionaires understand that, and they've mastered the ability to close the gap between what they know and what they do. That leads us right into the fifth defining trait of the millionaire mind: how they deal with failure and setbacks. Most people view failure as a dead end. When something doesn't go as planned, they feel crushed, discouraged, even ashamed. To them, failure is proof they should stop. But millionaires? They see failure through an entirely different lens. For them, failure isn't the end of the journey. It's the tuition they pay for real-world education. They understand a truth most people miss. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the path that leads there. Every successful millionaire I've ever met has a long list of failure stories. They've lost money. They've made poor investments. They've trusted the wrong people. They've launched businesses that never took off. And they've stumbled more than once along the way. But here's the difference. They don't let those experiences defeat them. They let those experiences teach them. They take notes on what went wrong. They analyze their mistakes, not to dwell in regret, but to gather insight. Because sometimes knowing what not to do is even more powerful than knowing what to do. That doesn't mean millionaires are reckless or careless with their money. Quite the opposite. They're strategic and cautious. But they also understand something vital. If you're never failing, you're probably not taking enough smart, calculated risks. They realize that the greatest risk in life is not taking any risk at all. So when setbacks inevitably show up, and they will, millionaires don't spiral into self-pity or spend time blaming others. Instead, they get to work. They ask the tough questions. What went wrong? What can I learn? What can I do better next time? Then they take that knowledge and apply it to the next challenge. They know setbacks are temporary, but the wisdom gained from those setbacks can last a lifetime. That mindset naturally brings us to the sixth principle of the millionaire mind: leverage. Now, when most people hear the word leverage, they immediately think about borrowing money. And while financial leverage is certainly one type, it's just the beginning. Millionaires understand there are many kinds of leverage, and they use them all to maximize results with less effort. There's time leverage, the art of getting others to help you reach your goals. Millionaires don't try to do everything themselves. They build teams. They surround themselves with people whose strengths balance out their weaknesses. They delegate, not because they're lazy, but because they know their energy should be focused on the tasks that only they can do. Then there's skill leverage, developing abilities that generate outsized value. Instead of trading hours for dollars in a one-to-one ratio, millionaires develop high-impact skills that allow them to earn far more in less time. As their expertise grows, so does the worth of their time. Their value increases, and so does their income. Next is system leverage, the ability to build processes and structures that work even when they're not physically present. Millionaires create businesses and investment systems that run on autopilot, generating income around the clock. They understand the crucial difference between being self-employed and owning a business. One requires constant work, the other creates freedom. And then there's relationship leverage. Millionaires don't operate in isolation. They intentionally build strong networks. Communities of people with shared goals, mutual support, and opportunities to collaborate. They help others win, and in doing so, multiply their own chances for success. Millionaires understand something that many overlook. Relationships are the foundation of all business success. They know that strong, mutually beneficial connections open doors that talent or capital alone cannot. That's why they intentionally invest time, effort, and emotional energy into building genuine relationships. Not shallow networking, but real trust and collaboration. And that mindset naturally leads us to the seventh characteristic of the millionaire mind, a deep understanding of value creation. While most people are preoccupied with what they can get, millionaires are focused on what they can give. This shift in perspective is powerful. They understand that the marketplace doesn't reward greed, it rewards service. And the size of your reward? It's directly proportional to the value you bring to others. Now, this may sound counterintuitive at first. After all, how can giving more possibly lead to receiving more? But millionaires grasp a fundamental truth about economics and human behavior. Money flows toward value. If you want more income to flow your way, the answer is simple: create more value. If you desire significantly more income, then you must deliver significantly more value. That's why successful people ask themselves questions like, how can I serve more people? How can I solve more meaningful problems? How can I add more value to the marketplace than anyone else? They know wealth isn't about taking from others. It's about creating something so valuable that others willingly exchange money for it. Every million-dollar fortune starts with one simple thing: someone solving a problem that mattered. Every thriving business exists because it serves its customers in a meaningful way. And every wealthy person I've ever met, they made their fortune by improving the lives of others in some measurable, meaningful way. And here's the beauty of this principle. When you focus on creating value for others, you simultaneously create value for yourself. When you help people get what they want, your own goals become more attainable. When you solve their problems, you're often solving your own financial challenges in the process. This is how true wealth is built. Not by chasing money, but by serving people better than anyone else. Now, this brings us to the eighth principle of the millionaire mindset: understanding the difference between working in your business and working on your business. Most people stay caught in the day-to-day grind. They're constantly busy, running from task to task, managing errands, try to keep up, but they rarely pause to think strategically. They don't step back to evaluate, to adjust, to improve the bigger picture. Millionaires take time to zoom out. They regularly set aside time not just to manage their finances, but to optimize them. They don't just work in their financial life, paying bills, meeting deadlines, covering expenses. They work on their financial life, setting goals, building systems, improving efficiency, and designing long-term freedom. Working on your financial life isn't just about budgeting or balancing spreadsheets. It's about thinking ahead. It means making time to plan your investments, exploring new income streams, upgrading your skills, expanding your network, and building systems that continue working for you year after year. These are the actions that lay the groundwork for lasting financial freedom. But here's the problem. Most people are stuck in reaction mode. Life feels urgent. They're constantly putting out fires instead of figuring out how to prevent them in the first place. They're so busy bailing water, they never get around to fixing the leak. And because of that, the long-term vision gets lost in the chaos of the short term. Millionaires take a different approach. They deliberately carve out time, every single week, to work on their financial future. They sit down to review their investments. They reflect on what's working and what's not. They plan their next strategic moves. They research new opportunities, fine-tune their tactics, and consistently adjust their game plan. They know that wealth isn't something that magically appears. It's something that must be built with consistent, focused intention. They understand that their financial life won't improve on autopilot. Without deliberate effort, nothing changes. That's why they treat their money the same way a professional treats their craft, with respect, discipline, and structure. And that brings us to the 9th characteristic of the millionaire mind, their relationship with money itself. For most people, this relationship is complicated. They want money, but often resent those who have it. They chase after it, but feel guilty when they receive it. They know they need it, but remain suspicious of its influence. It's a constant emotional tug-of-war, desire on one side, discomfort on the other. Millionaires think differently. Their relationship with money is clear, calm, and unemotional. They view money simply as a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not good. It's not evil. It's neutral. What matters is how it's used. They don't worship money, but they don't fear it either. They respect it because they understand what it represents, the value they've created in the marketplace. To them, money means options. It's freedom. It's stored energy. Potential that can be directed toward meaningful goals, whether it's building a business, supporting a cause, or taking care of their family. And because they have this healthy, balanced view, they're able to make wiser financial decisions. They're not reacting from fear. They're not driven by greed or ego. They think clearly and act strategically because their emotions aren't clouding their judgment. Most people make financial decisions in the heat of emotion, out of fear, greed, pride, or even shame. These emotional choices often lead to quick gratification but long-term regret. Millionaires, on the other hand, approach money differently. They make decisions rooted in logic, backed by strategy, and aligned with long-term goals. That single distinction gives them a massive edge when it comes to building sustainable wealth. And that brings us to the 10th principle that separates millionaire thinking from the rest: a deep commitment to financial education. While the average person leaves their financial knowledge to chance, picking up bits and pieces here and there, millionaires approach it systematically. They study money like it's a skill, not a mystery. They dive into topics like investing, business, and wealth creation with purpose. Reading financial statements is second nature to them, just like reading the morning news is to everyone else. They understand tax laws, business structures, economic indicators, and the core principles that govern money. They know the difference between an asset and a liability. They understand the importance of cash flow versus capital gains. They're clear on what qualifies as good debt and what's simply financial quicksand. And here's the key: this isn't theory for them. It's not academic. It's practical. Millionaires learn because they apply what they learn. They study investing because they actively invest. They dig into business models because they build and run businesses. They take the time to understand taxes because they legally structure their financial lives to reduce unnecessary losses. But perhaps the most important point of all, They don't wait to get rich before they begin learning about money. They start when they have nothing. They invest in financial education when they're still broke, knowing that the knowledge itself is what will help them change that situation. They don't wait until they have assets to manage. They study now so they can create those assets in the future. Financial education works just like any other kind of learning. The earlier you start, the better. But even if you didn't start young, there's good news. The second best time to start is right now. Millionaires understand this truth. No matter how much they've already earned, they remain students of wealth. They never stop learning, because the financial world evolves, and so must their knowledge. Now let's move to the 11th trait of the millionaire mind. The ability to delay gratification strategically. This doesn't mean they live like monks or deny themselves every pleasure. It doesn't mean they never enjoy the rewards of their hard work. What it means is that they've trained themselves to distinguish between what they want now and what they want most. Most people are driven by impulse. If they want something, they want it immediately. And acting on those impulses often leads to overspending, debt, poor investments, and constant financial pressure. Millionaires resist that urge. They've developed the habit of pausing between the spark of desire and the decision to act. They ask themselves, is this choice getting me closer to my long-term vision, or is it just satisfying a short-term craving? That moment of reflection makes all the difference. It's how they avoid costly mistakes and build wealth steadily over time. When millionaires feel the desire to buy something, they don't act on impulse. Instead, they pause and ask themselves powerful questions. Will buying this bring me closer to my financial goals or take me further away? Is this purchase an asset or a liability? 5 years from now, will I be glad I made this decision? Or will I regret it? These simple questions guide them towards smarter choices. They help shift the focus from instant gratification to long-term gain. But let's be clear, millionaires aren't postponing pleasure forever. That's not the point. What they've mastered is the art of delaying smaller rewards in order to enjoy much bigger ones later. They might skip buying that flashy car today, not because they can't afford it, but because they'd rather own their financial freedom tomorrow. They might say no to an expensive vacation this year, because early retirement or a debt-free life is the real reward they're after. This ability to delay gratification is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Millionaires have trained that muscle with discipline and consistency. And the benefits extend far beyond finances. It impacts how they approach goals, relationships, health, and decision-making as a whole. That brings us to the 12th principle of the millionaire mindset, the incredible power of focus. While most people spread themselves thin, juggling dozens of tasks, chasing multiple goals, millionaires do the opposite. They focus sharply, intentionally. They know that not all actions produce equal results. That's why they live by the 80-20 rule. The idea that 80% of outcomes often come from just 20% of efforts. So what do? They zero in on that critical 20%. They identify the few activities that truly move the needle and pour their energy into those. And just as importantly, they learn to say no, even to good opportunities, so they have the bandwidth to say yes to great ones. This kind of focus isn't limited to work or money. It applies to everything. Their learning, their relationships, their investments, even their time management. They don't try to master everything. They aim to be excellent at what truly matters. They don't scatter their attention. They concentrate it where it will have the biggest impact. Here's where most people get it wrong. They stay busy, constantly in motion, but they rarely stop to ask, am I being effective? They confuse activity with progress. But movement without direction is just exhaustion. Millionaires understand the difference. They measure their success not by how full their calendar is, but by how much meaningful progress they make. Which leads us to the 13th trait of millionaire thinking, their relationship with time. For most people, Time is something they trade for money. They work an hour, they get paid. They give up their days to earn a paycheck. Millionaires flip that equation. They recognize time as their most valuable asset. Not something to sell cheaply, but something to protect, prioritize, and multiply. Millionaires understand a simple truth. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. Rich or poor, young or old. The playing field is equal when it comes to time. What makes the difference isn't how much time someone has, but how they use it. While most people fill their days with urgent tasks or distractions that yield little long-term value, millionaires do the opposite. They invest their time into activities that pay dividends for years, not just hours. They use their time as capital, spending it only on things that build toward their vision. Low-value tasks, they delegate them. If something doesn't require their unique skills or creativity, they find someone else to handle it. They automate routine tasks so their focus can stay on innovation and strategy. They systematize recurring responsibilities so they're not constantly reinventing the wheel. Does that mean they never relax? Of course not. Millionaires absolutely make space for rest and enjoyment, but they're intentional with their leisure. They understand that time spent learning, building, and creating is time invested into their future. On the flip side, time spent complaining, scrolling endlessly, or indulging in mindless entertainment. That's time wasted, energy that will never return. That naturally leads us to the 14th principle of the millionaire mindset, the value of multiple income streams. Most people rely on a single source of income, usually their job, and that's risky. One disruption, one layoff, one bad month, and everything can fall apart. Millionaires take a different approach. They build several streams of income, often flowing from a variety of sources. It might come from their business, investments, real estate, royalties from intellectual property, or strategic partnerships. This isn't just about having more money. It's about building resilience. By diversifying their income, they shield themselves from economic volatility and give themselves room to grow. But here's the key. They don't pursue income streams at random. They develop each one strategically, often aligning it with their strengths, passions, and existing networks. They ask, how can this income source support the others? How can they work together, not compete? They build synergy between their income streams, where one strengthens another like gears in a well-oiled machine. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes effort. But the result is profound. Increasing security, expanding opportunity, and scalable wealth. They don't put all their financial eggs in one basket. They spread the risk, but more importantly, they multiply the potential for gain. Now, we come to the 15th and perhaps most powerful characteristic of the millionaire mind, belief. While most people quietly doubt their own ability to ever become wealthy, millionaires hold an unshakable belief that they can and will create wealth. It's not arrogance. It's not blind optimism. And it's definitely not wishful thinking. It's a grounded, internal conviction that wealth is possible and that they have the power to achieve it through choices, learning, and persistence. This belief that millionaires carry is not based on wishful thinking or blind optimism. It's grounded in understanding. They believe in wealth creation because they understand the principles behind it. And more importantly, they commit to applying those principles with consistency over time. They know that wealth isn't the result of luck, inheritance, or lottery tickets. It's not some mysterious blessing reserved for the few. They know the truth. Wealth is created through value, service, and problem solving. It's earned by showing up in the marketplace and solving real needs with real solutions. And that's the secret. Because they believe that wealth is possible, they start to behave in ways that make it probable. They see possibilities where others see roadblocks. They take action when others hesitate. They keep going when others give up. Their belief fuels persistence, and persistence multiplies their results. They also understand their worth. if they've created real value. They're not afraid to ask for what they deserve. They don't shrink back. They don't undercharge. Their confidence is backed by substance. But let's be clear, belief alone is never enough. You can't sit still and expect the world to change just because you've shifted your mindset. Thinking like a millionaire must be paired with acting like one. Thought guides direction, but action creates reality. Results are born not from what you think, but from what you do. So, let me leave you with a challenge today. Start training your mind like a millionaire, starting now. Begin with the questions you ask yourself each day. Shift your inner dialogue. Instead of asking, "Why can't I afford this?" start asking, "How can I afford this?" Replace statements like, "I'll never be wealthy," with the more empowering question, "What would I need to do to become wealthy?" Transform your mindset toward failure. Don't fear it, learn from it. Every setback has a lesson. Every delay hides a direction. Every challenge holds a choice. Your future wealth doesn't begin with your bank account. It begins with your beliefs. And from those beliefs, your actions will follow. Now it's time to change your relationship with money. Start seeing it not as something to chase or fear, but as a tool, a powerful tool for creating value and serving others. Shift how you view time, too. It's not just something to spend, it's something to invest. Every hour you dedicate to building something meaningful can pay you back for years, even decades. So where do you begin? Start your financial education today. Pick up books about money, investing, and wealth building. Attend seminars that teach real principles of financial growth. Listen to audio programs and interviews with successful people. Learn directly from those who have already walked the path you want to follow. Train yourself to think long-term. Imagine planting a seed today, not for instant results, but to one day enjoy the shade of the tree it becomes. Make decisions based on the life you want to be living 5 or 10 years from now, not just the situation you're in today. Begin creating value for others in any way you can. Don't wait to be perfect or ready. Just start, because the marketplace rewards those who serve, who solve problems, and who bring value with consistency and purpose. But above all else, believe that wealth is possible for you. Not because it's guaranteed or easy, not because you're entitled to it, but because you're willing to learn, to grow, and to apply the principles of wealth creation with discipline over time. Believe in the process. Study it, plan it, and then work for it. There's no mystery to the millionaire mind. It's not reserved for the few. It's a set of learnable habits, beliefs, and thought patterns that anyone, including you, can develop. You don't need anyone's permission to start thinking like a millionaire. You don't need a degree, a certificate, or a special background. What you do need is the commitment to change how you think and the discipline to practice those new patterns until they become second nature. Your financial future isn't in someone else's hands. It's in yours. Your wealth is out there waiting to be created. Your millionaire mindset is ready to be awakened. So, the only real question is, when will you begin? The time is now. The place is here. The person is you. Train your mind like a millionaire, and your bank account will eventually catch up. But don't forget this. The real wealth lies not just in what you accumulate, but in who you become in the process of building it. Start today. Start now. Your future millionaire self is counting on the choices you make today. Don't let them down. The greatest investment you will ever make is in your own mind, and that opportunity is in front of you right now. No matter where you're starting from, the millionaire mind is within your reach. Claim it, develop it, and watch how it transforms not just your finances, but your entire life. Thank you for watching. Wishing you strength, health, and lasting happiness. And don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more content that empowers your journey.